Welcome to my channel. I'm Russell, and this is Russell with Russell Does Stuff. I wanted to share this story when it happened the other day with everybody, but things got in the way and I got busy doing stuff here around the shop. There's been this customer that I got who's been, bugging me for the last 6 months or so. And, I let it roll off of my back like a duck, in water or getting out of the water. And I'll answer his texts or his calls. I'll answer his questions. It's the dead of winter, and he has to call me and let me know he has a little weed by the front door of his house. Or he'll call and let me know that, there's a little tall grass in his backyard. And other things, When I first got this customer, it was about 8 or 9 months ago. I think he had just moved down here, and he may have retired or whatever. Well, I had a friend of mine that I work for. He called me up and said, "Hey, I need you to take care of some properties for me." I said, "All right, I'll add them to my route and I'll take care of them for you." I do some other properties for this person. So I said, "I'll do them." Gave him a fair price. Started taking care of them for him. First time I went over to this guy's house, he met me out in the driveway, introduced himself, talked my ear off. I explained to him what I was doing and what the owners of the property wanted. And that's what I normally do. I introduce myself. So and so, this is what I do. This is what the owner of the property is providing you. This is when I come, etc. I made sure he acknowledged that because, he's not the property owner. He's just leasing. So I let him know what services and stuff was getting paid for. It was all included in the rent of the property. So the guy wanted to be my friend. Acted like he wanted to be my friend. Hey, why don't you stop over and have a beer and blah blah blah. And you know if I'm here, knock on the door. I'll come out. Just if I'm out back, and you're around, stop over and let's have a beer. Well, I know better than that uh, potion talk. You know, he never wanted to have a beer with me. He never wanted me to knock on the door or stop if he was out in the back. He was trying to use this tactic called leverage. He felt that if I thought a certain way, that I would work a certain way or treat him a certain way. I seen right through it. Time I was at his house, he came outside and he goes, "Can you take care of this and get me down to the creek and all that because I like to walk down there." This wasn't part of his property that he was leasing. I said, "Sure, I'll take care of it for you." You know, He gave me $20. It's all right. That's cool. So I started taking care of an extra area on this property. And I had done it a few times, and I made sure that, he could get down to the area he wanted to without walking in high cotton. So him giving me that $20 was all part of the rouge, the smoke and mirror type thing. I knew it. So he's been a pain in the wazoo ever since I started taking care of that place. So last week, I'm, doing my thing, having my own thoughts and stuff, and I get a text from this guy. Never, ever, 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 ever give renters or leasers your phone number. Have them contact the people you work for, and then let them contact you. I made the mistake uno number uno. Don't give them your phone number. So he had front row access to me whenever he felt like it. So I was at dinner that night, and on the way home, he popped in my head, and I got to thinking, you know, I don't want to work for this guy anymore. He's unreasonable. He doesn't listen. I picked up a couple other accounts closer to the headquarters. Going to his house is a pain in the butt. And I don't want to be manipulated. Now, if this was my first rodeo and I just started out in business, I would have to suck all that up and do it, because that would have been part of my money for my goals. I reached all my goals. And if I can maintain the same amount of income without dealing with a headache like that, I have the freedom to cut bait with people. So I called him on the phone and I had a nice conversation with him. I asked him, why every time, you know, he thinks there's something wrong with the place he feels like he has to call me. He knew the yard, the sod that was planted, was no good, and he was going to have some weeds, in between service and stuff. And he knew all that. And I wanted to give him a chance before I cut loose this customer. And he told me, he was promised this and that, when he signed the lease and stuff. And that's not regular service anyway. This is far way beyond what a normal service was. I was offering him uh, the property normal service. So I didn't like how the conversation went. So we hung up. He had planted some things in the yard, or had some pots and some stuff in the yard. He was putting them in, places that were in the way. And, I'm fine with that. That's nothing to be whiny or picky about. But I just got to thinking, I don't want to work for this guy. And I didn't want to work for him when I first met him. I didn't want to have to deal with it, because I could see the future. So I called the guy that I work for, and I told him, look, I don't want to do these properties anymore. He agreed with me. He's like, fine, no big deal. I don't blame you. I was nice about it, let everybody know what I was doing and what was going on. And texted that guy back and said, "Hey, not working on this property anymore. You know, nice to have met you, and have a good one." If I was in a different season of my life, I would have to suck this up and go work for that guy, keep my mouth shut, and be a yes man. You plan something and you work your plan. I've spent many, 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 many years working for people I didn't want to. And I don't have to work for people I don't want to anymore. You know. When I first started this business, one of many, I had to work for everybody. Mean, rotten people, good people, you know. I quietly had my goals. I kept them to myself. I may have had a couple customers that knew my goals, and they cheered me on. Did you meet your goal yet? Did you meet your goal yet when they'd see me? I'm like, "Nope. I'm close though. I'm this far away from my goal." So, don't ever be afraid to change up your business. And some people may comment below and say, "Oh, you need to get thicker skin, or quit being emotional, or quit being this and that and stuff." And you know, I would agree with you, but back in the day, I had to have thicker skin and stuff. But now I don't have to I don't have to have as thick of skin. I don't want to think about that guy's property all weekend. So I stuck to my rules. I fired him and blocked him. So this is a story about firing a customer. My name is Russell, and this is Russell Does Stuff. If you like this kind of stuff, like and subscribe. Hit the like button. That really helps the channel out. And if you're just passing through and this isn't your thing, subscribe. Hit the like button. Help out a perfect stranger. Never be afraid to do the right thing. But don't fire customers if your goals depend on them. Till the next time.